So,
Oh, yes, sorry.
that was a lot of fun for me to watch and to kind of just see things happening. Hopefully, groups got what they needed to get. And again, just by sort of observing and seeing what was going on, it does seem like there was some good feedback happening. I saw a lot of notes being taken about, oh yeah, maybe we need to adjust this or change that or modify this. So, you know, hopefully at this point, between all the planning you've done and the feedback you got in the alpha testing week and now the feedback you've gotten in the beta testing week, that with 2 more weeks to go, you should be able to, like I said, just put the final polish on it, cross the T's, dot the I's, make any little adjustments that you wish to based off of the feedback from tonight. And like I said, I am going to give groups, you know, I'll stay as long as people need to stay. So once I get through going over what the homework and so on is, groups should feel free to stay as long as you want to plan and debrief and whatever it is you need to do. So don't feel like you have to be in a rush to get out of here. So in terms of homework is pretty straightforward. Let me get back to it here. Where are we? Here we go. Nope, I'm in the wrong week. There we go, week 12, that would be good. So basically the main thing is number 1, which is the gamification project, which I talked about at the beginning of class. So at this point, your ID plan should basically be set. If it's not, then make sure that in the wiki that you've updated things. But like I said, I didn't go through everybody's, but I kind of did a quick spot check just to kind of see where people are. And it looks like people are in pretty good shape with that. You've got your plans in place. You know what it is you want to try and who you want to try it with. So over the course of this week, the final thing is just to implement that plan if you have not already. And again, I saw that several of you have already. So implement the plan. Get whatever feedback you can from it in terms of comparing non-gamified behavior and results to the gamified behavior and results. Those will also go into the wiki. That's those last couple of questions about evaluation and so on. And then, like I said, next week, just a briefly present your experiences to the class. And, you know, the information is basically coming straight out of the instructional design work. So talk a little bit about, you know, what the problem was, what was the behavior you were trying to affect, what was your gamification plan, which of our 4 game elements were you trying to incorporate into it, talk a little bit about the actual implementation, how did it go, how did your students respond, or how did your group respond, and then in terms of evaluation, you know, if you were to do it again, would you change anything, anything like that. But again, I'm looking for 5 to 6 minutes tops per person, or we'll be here way longer than we need to be. But it's mainly just so that everybody can get a chance to hear what everyone else tried out and see if there's any things that you might like to try out as well. Yes?
Is there a rubric or anything for the presentation or a list of requirements for the presentation?
Not for the presentation, no.
Okay, so it's not like we have to have a visual, we have to...
No.
Okay.
What I'll do is, and maybe I'll come in and add that onto this, is just to kind of say, address the following 4 things. But again, it's all drawn right from the things that you filled in.
If we filled out...
Yeah, it'll be basically
that was kind of
summarizing
guiding.
the information from your instructional design. So the problem, your plan, the implementation, and your evaluation of how it went. So, so that's thing number 1. And then thing number 2 is not really for next week, but really for the week after. But use all the information you gained tonight and any information that you know about your game to make any final adjustments to your game projects. They will be due in 2 weeks, at which point your group should be prepared to do a presentation. What I will maybe try to do this week, just so you have it earlier than next week, is to just kind of do a quick sketch of what that presentation should look like. Like I said, I kind of view it as having 4 parts to it, so I figured with 4 people in your group, 1 person could kind of address each part. And each of those parts should be no longer than 5 minutes or so. So again, we're not looking for huge, lengthy presentations,
No,
but
you're
sort of
I
following
know
some things.
you had gone over it quickly, like first part, you wanted like your developmental stage.
Yeah, so, yeah, and like I said, I'll
Could you
maybe
go
again,
over
I'll
that?
add that here as well, but I'll make sure to clarify that. But basically, where did I put that? Oh, here we go. So sort of the educational background behind the game. What was, again, what was the problem you were trying to address? What was the, the content area you were trying to work on? So sort of the background of the game. Then talk about the stages of the development of the actual game. Maybe if you even can remember at this point what your initial brainstorming ideas were, go back and what were the things we originally threw out? What did we think the game was going to be originally? And then through the development, where did the game actually end up? So talk a little bit about that process. Then actually describing the game as it ended. So that piece is a little bit more cut and dried of just, so here's the game we finished up with. It's a board game that has this and this and this, and the way the game is played is as follows. Remember, at this point, half of the class will not have had a direct experience playing your game. So there will be at least half the class who doesn't really know what your game looks like in its final form. So I want to give them a sense of the game. And then the final piece would just be kind of a reflection on the experience, on sort of how your group worked together, what sort of challenges did you come across as you were working on the project. So maybe not specifically about the game itself, but just about the experience of the project. So those are roughly the 4 areas to be addressed in that presentation, right? And did you have a question as well, or no? Nope, you all set. Okay. But again, those presentations are in 2 weeks, so this is more of kind of a getting ready for that. And I will post something more specifically for both of these about the presentations of just sort of roughly what we're looking for material-wise. So I think that is all I've got for you, unless any of you have questions for me at this point. The light is at the end of the tunnel. And I know for many of you, especially if you've been in both classes, it's been a lot of stuff in one semester. For me too. So we'll get there. We've got 3 more weeks to wrap things up. I think we're in good shape, generally speaking, and I love what I've been seeing from you guys across the board. So all right, so it is 10 of 7. So technically, we've got another 40 minutes of time. You don't need to take that time if you don't wish to. But if your group wants to get together and just have one final powwow strategy session for what to do over the next final 2 weeks, feel free to stay as long as you wish. And if you have questions for me, I'm obviously going to stay too, so feel free to ask me as well. All right? So the rest of the time is yours to use as you wish.